Hello, everyone. We have a person here with serious talent on the soccer/football field. Um, in having him in my franchise, there was comment coming in from the US and all over, just seeing him play. So without further ado, I'd like him to introduce himself and give me a bit of his background from where he came and how we end up falling into him here in Toronto.
Good evening, Midget. I want to thank you for having me. Okay, and I also want to dispense appreciation for what you're doing and what you have been doing. My name is Eric Johnson. My friends call me EJ. And I've been associated with soccer for a very, very long time, even growing up as a kid back home in my native Jamaica. So it starts from the grassroots, you know, playing soccer. We kick around anything that we could find, an orange, baseball, whatever. And as a result of that, you develop certain skills, right? That skill also was a platform for me to play community soccer back home in Jamaica, right? And I excel at it to the point where I was called by one of my coach, Bradley Stewart, to be a part of the Jamaica National Juvenile Program, which is the under 16 program, right? And just being a part of that, I developed a lot of friendship, a lot of skills, and I took that skills. 1980, I actually migrated here to Canada, which I took that skills along with me. So that was just a little bit of synopsis growing up back home in Jamaica.
So when you came here in 1980, you came on your own for study, New Horizon?
So I migrated with my family. Me and my siblings, we came up. Um, once we came up, we jumped at the opportunity to, go to school here, high school. You know, um, a couple high school I've been to, played soccer for them, got MVP awards. And in the Toronto area, I went to a high school called George Harvey. That was a very athletic high school where we pretty much won everything. And one of your speaker also went to that school, Johnny Williams. That was where I met him. But we had some fun times there playing soccer together. So that also put me onto a lot of other teams, Spanish teams, Italian teams. You would play in the community, a lot of rivalry, and from that, it basically went on to T&D competition. I used to play a lot of tournaments, the ARI tournament down at Lamport Stadium, which you're familiar with.
Who did you play for?
We played for a team called Mississauga Jugglers, down in that league. And, we've held our own. We've done very well in that league. But we look forward to that tournament, actually, each and every year, because that was a very, very good tournament, meeting up with a lot of players that we considered friends today, so that was very good back in the days. But yeah, so the Spanish league and the Italian leagues, things like that also gave you that platform to play in the community.
So while you're playing in the community from school, there's a window there, if I remember correctly, that you got a scholarship. Where in that window did that scholarship play in? Did you play in the leagues after you came back or prior to or during that same time?
So when I was playing in the league, actually, I received 4 scholarships that year, to be quite honest. And I remember one day we went to play a game. We were playing with this team that was in the Petro-Canada League. I don't know if you recall that league, but it was sponsored by Petro-Canada. And my coach said to me, "Did you ever get scholarships?" And I said, "Yeah, I got 4 scholarships. I just don't know where to go." Right. And it was Woody Bailey. I'm sure you're familiar with Woody. Said, why don't you come to my school? Right? And I said to him, well, I've got 4 scholarship. I can't decide where to go. And now you complicate it with one more, to make it 5. But anyways, he went back to his school and told his coach about me. So they sent me an offer, right? And I went down and the coach liked me and he offered me a scholarship. So
Can I ask the name of that school? Is that the same school
that's
you went with Woody? What's the name of that school?
that's the same school that Woody went to. The name is Alderson Brothers College at the time. Now it's changed to a university. Right. So accepting that scholarship, I got a lot of accolades going forward from there. All-American, All-Conference, All-State, All-South, American Bowl, All-American Bowl, Hall of Fame. So it's a long list of accolades for the 4 years that I've been there. And based on that, the opportunity that I got, I also invited, other, players that I can send down to be a part of that program. So going forward, for the younger generation, it's easy, to get down to these colleges.
So, seeing that you have all these accolades, is it safe to say that when you recommend people like Johnny Williams and these guys, the coach basically take it for granted that these guys are up to your level and everything else? Is that safe to say?
It's safe to say that, you have a reputation to protect, because once the coach hears you say that you have a player, they know that that player is capable and that player is someone that they would be looking to get because of, what I've done at the university or what someone else have done who has made an impact on that program. Right. So myself, Woody, Johnny Williams, whoever went down, once they tell the coach that they have a player to recommend, they take it at face value, right? Because they know that we've done very, very well there.
So did you guys at any time play together, the 3 of you, or were you at different times? It seemed like
We were different.
after, so will you play together at any time?
We were different times. The reason I went there was because I thought Woody was going to stay, but unfortunately Woody left him and Dennis Hutchinson, Dendon, right? So I went there, and then shortly after, I told the coach about Johnny, and Johnny came. So Johnny and I played 1 year together, right? And then that was my senior year. Johnny and I played together, and he stayed there for 4 years after.
Okay. How you knew about Caribbean Stars? Because I can't remember recruiting you.
Right. So my 4 years at AB, Alderson Brothers. I played 1 year in Philadelphia, semi-professional soccer, and then Johnny Williams was the one that actually asked me to come to Caribbean Stars. So he saw me, he invited me, and reluctantly, yes, I did, went, but I found out that it was a very, very, very good program, and that's the reason why I didn't go back to Philadelphia. I came to Caribbean Stars because of the ground route and how the program was set up and the positivity between the players, the coaching staff, management, all of those things. And that's the reason why I, elected to stay with Caribbean Stars.
Well, I must say, in all fairness, seeing you and now knowing your background here, where you came from and what you were doing then, I think I said it in a couple other clips before, and I think I should say to you that my friends from New York and stuff, they came here for the opening of the league, and they saw you play, they saw the team play, and they made some comparison on this image, that guy there, meaning you. That's the thing, guys can't play in front of him. You know, and you were always kind of low key, just covering your plays, cutting it off. Your skill level was, you know, exceptional and not a fussy player. Now, you talk about the program and stuff, but we lost you the next year to Jamaica Selects, and it was something I had to sign to keep the league running and to keep teams in the league. Now, I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I did remember, and playing for Jamaica was also a very good opportunity for me to because Jamaica Select was more in the West End, and that's where I'm from. Right. I know that most of the the Caribbean Stars were more East Side. So me and Centipede, that was at Caribbean Stars, as well as Fitzroy, we actually linked up again. The good thing about Jamaica Select and Caribbean Stars is that, the players, we know each other, right? We respect each other, right? And even though we're playing against each other, we have that mutual respect for each other, and which is a good thing. At the end of the day, we can relate, we can sit down, we can talk, even though we just competed, right? So with Jamaica Select, once again, the level of soccer was pretty much the same as Caribbean Stars, and it makes the league more exciting. It makes soccer more exciting. It makes you appreciate more, the game, and accept the game. So I think it was it was a great rivalry, right? But it was a respected rivalry.
Well, it was a kind of hurtful rivalry because if I remember correctly, Jamaica Selects defeated Caribbean Stars in the semi-final, and you guys move on to the final against, I think it was Croatia or somebody.
I think it was a Spanish. I think it was a Spanish team at Lamport Stadium. It was,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it was. I'm sure it's going to be. There's a little bit of hurt there, regardless whichever way it went, whether it was you guys winning or us winning, because obviously once again we played, for both teams. But as I said, at the end of the day, the respect is still there, and the respect will always be there.
So what happened after that in your career? Where did you go? I know it seemed like you were hurting a little bit during the course because you had some little off time in between and stuff. So what happened with you after that in terms of did you ever go in the CNSL for Italia or one of these teams? Did you ever play in those leagues? Or
I actually was playing for Toronto, Italia at one point. That didn't work out, to be quite honest with you. And then I got traded to Yugoslavia. And that's where I met up with GB Woody on the same team as well. Right. And I played 1 year for them. Right. And then afterwards I got injured.
Yugoslavia, right? That's in the CPSL?
That was in the, yes, I think it's the CSL. I think it was a CSL, something like that. Yeah, yeah, I think it was something like that, the CSL.
How was that? Oh, no, I think people in the community, when these things happen, it's my duty to find out what was the atmosphere like. Is it compared to the camaraderie, as you say, that we had with Caribbean Stars, Jamaica Selects, when you go and play for these Yugoslavia team or whatever? What is it like? Is it just the money? Is it just you're playing? Yes, but what mentally, what is it like?
The competition was good, right? Back in the days, everybody wanted to play soccer, right? It's a little bit different now because we had a lot of different leagues going on back in the day. So obviously the competition was there. You have more players as well as better players. So the competition was there. Italians, the Croatians, the Yugoslavians, the Spanish. All of these teams were, they come out playing. So when there's a game, obviously, they have their crowd, their followings. I remember when the Serbians and the Croatians were playing. Oh, that's a big rivalry. in
That's
you know,
police
especially.
protection. That's police protection you're talking there now.
Yes, exactly. So, so the competition, was there just the same way, like, Jamaica and as well as Caribbean
So
when we were playing.
but what it is that I'm trying to get at for the public consumption is that it's one thing to play within your community for a community team. The next thing on the semi-pro professional is to pay for your paycheck, like the game. And I just want the next piece of what is it like, the camaraderie playing for an owner? Is it the same? Do you lose something, or does it really not matter?
It doesn't really matter because you love the game. Some people play for it for the money, right? Because if you don't have the money, you want the money. But most people, I should say, play for it for the love of the game, right? So even though it's semi-professional and they pay you, but you go out there and you compete. So, and it's not everybody that's going to be getting paid either, right? It's just the top players. So, but you still have those role players. They're out there competing as well because in the future they want to make a paycheck as well, right? So, so yeah, it goes both ways, Najit.
So it is my understanding also that you were part of the foundation of the Metro Lands, and the Metro Lands is one of the real part of this history that people don't realize and have enough information on. So I'm glad the fact that I heard that you in the early days of the Metro Lands. So could you tell us exactly how you became part of Metro Lands?
Okay, so I met this gentleman by the name of Anthony back in the days. I was the first person he met when he came into the country. He said he was from Uganda.
Anthony, as we know him as Anthony Ayo, I mean, I don't know if you know exactly what his name is, but we'll have to put him as the guy who actually was the end up organizer of the Metro Lands.
The Metro Lands, absolutely, absolutely. So when he first came into the country, he told me that he played for Uganda national team. And if I know any team that he can be a part of to play in Canada. I was playing soccer at the time, so I invited him to my team. And we played for a couple of years on that team. And I also played with him. We went to a team called Insula, which was in the Italian league. And he came along with me. That was me, him, and Trevor Bertram, which you know. And also in a Sunday morning league, a team by the name of Oswenda. He also came and he played. And one day he called me and he said, EJ, I want to talk to you. And I invited him over to my house. He came over and we sat in my garage. And he said he want to start a team here in Canada. And I said, well, I'm interested in hearing what exactly you have on your plate. And he said, well, what he wants to do was start a team here. He's still affiliated with the coaches and management on his national team in Uganda. And those managers and coaches from Uganda is affiliated with a team in France called Lille in their professional league. So what he wants to do is the team here, he would get some of the players from Uganda national team, invite them over on a permit to play here in the summer for the team that he wants to start here. And he would pretty much use this team as a farm team for that little team in France. And I said, well, that's a good idea. But obviously, that's a lot of work. He said, yes, most of the work is already done. And he also has the sponsor for that program, for the team. And I said, well, once you got the sponsor, that's a main thing that is in place, right? So we decided, how are we going to do this? So he mentioned that he has a meeting in Australia and he needs to go to Australia to meet up with the coaches from Uganda and some delegates from Australia to get all of this thing in place. And actually, he worked for Air Canada, so he flew to Australia for that weekend, which I thought was actually crazy. You flying to Australia. He wanted me to come, but I told him I'm not going to fly to Australia on a weekend. So he went, came back, and he told me that everything is in place over there. So we just need to get things in place here. So we met up, me, him, and another one of his friend by the name of OG. And we met up and we started to put things in place. He asked me if I want to be a part of management, and I declined at the time. I told him that I want to be a part of the system, but I will be in charge of the players or getting the players. So he said, that's a good idea because obviously you know a lot of players. So based on that, I got the title as a scout for the team. And we put things in place in regards to the clubhouse, which was down at Allen Road and Shepherd.
That's right.
You know, and you know, other things in place like you know, where we're going to play our home field. It was then that we sat down and we decided that what are we going to name the team? And he asked me, and I said to him, well, he said that the team is in Toronto, so let's, you know, call it Metro. And he asked me exactly what do I think, and I said, call it Metro Cobras, right? He asked OG, and OG didn't want to, you know, give him an answer or a name. So I said, what do you think it should be called? And he said, well, I think it should be called Metro Lions. And I said, why? And he said, because a lion is a very fearsome but humbling animal in my native country of Africa. So I want to name it Metro Lions. So I told him that, well, you put all of this together. So by right, you can name it whatever you want to name it, right? So Metro Lions. And he said, you agree? I said, yes. So that's how Metro Lions name actually came about, right? The Metro Lions logo. So we got the logo.
But when they got the name, would they use media releases on the name or not yet?
Not yet. Not yet. There
That's
wasn't. This was just internal. This
Okay.
was just internal. It was just three of us that came up with that name. And then obviously we have to get things in place like the business cards and all these titles and who is going to be what, you know, things like that. So that was when I got the title of Scout on my business card, right? The jersey, which was blue and white at the time, that was actually out of fluke, so to speak, because I was wearing a blue tracksuit. And we came up with that color based on the tracksuit that I was wearing. We agreed that why don't we incorporate the color, because Anthony liked the color. And I said, why don't we incorporate the blue into the color of the jersey as well as the business cards, right? So that's how the blue color came along.
And if I remember correctly, the business cards were blue too.
The business cards were blue too. Exactly. It was blue and white. Exactly.
I had one.
Yeah. The business cards were blue and white. I can't find any of mine now, but yes, they were blue and white as well. The only thing that wasn't blue was the tracksuit. And I actually have mine.
Is that the
original Metro Lions tracksuit with the Admiral logo on it?
That's true.
Right. Yeah. That's it right there. It's been sitting in my closet. So yes, I do have that. And, you know, going forward in regards to, you know, me being the scout, it was time for us to find players, right? Because this was a new team, right? We didn't have any players. management was in place, everything was in place, but no players. So
who was the owner, the sponsor at the time? Did you have the sponsor in place? Because if you're talking tracksuits and stuff, did you meet the owner or the
the
sponsor?
sponsor was in place. I actually, I've seen him once. I don't really know his name, but
Does
he
this
looks
name ring a bell?
more,
Arnold Milan,
yeah,
Filipino.
yes, exactly, exactly. It was from that nationality. And as I spoke with Anthony, and he said that a businessman, he explained to me what type of business and that he is capable of sponsoring the team, right? So now we have to find players, right? Because obviously the season was coming up and, you know, without players, and we didn't have those players coming in from Uganda as yet, right? So we have to find local players.
So this is going to be very interesting because I want to see, seeing that I came in later on in that season, who I inherited from the actual foundation and who I did not. So I'm
Yes.
all ears here.
So now playing soccer from way back when for a team, we call them Mississauga Classic, which they're also in the league in Scarborough right now at Thompson Park, right? That team, we had a series of players. One of the midfielder player was a guy named Courtney that I played with, as well as TC and Woody and Polly and all those guys.
Courtney, no, there's a lot of Courtneys. Is that Courtney
Yes.
Dennis, Courtney Campbell?
Courtney, last name?
Courtney Dennis?
Dennis, Courtney Dennis, yes, Courtney Dennis, right? So I played with Courtney Dennis from Classic, and I was looking around, and one day I bumped into Courtney, and I said, Courtney, listen, here's my business card. I'm affiliated with this new team called Metro Lions, and I'm actually looking for players, you know, are you available? He said, I'm playing for a team in the CPSL.
Yes.
Right. And I said to him, well, Metro Lions is also going to be in the CPSL, but why don't you just come take a look and see? You don't have to come and play, right? Just take a look and see, meet the people in the organization and see what they're like, and then you can make a decision. And he said, okay. And he said, can I bring some of my friends with me, right, that I played with? And I said, sure, bring whoever you want to bring. So he brought over, it was about 6 of them. You know, it was about 6 of them. Goalkeeper,
Goalkeeper Bowes,
what's his name? Bowes.
Brian Bowes there, yeah.
Brian, yeah. And the midfielder kid there.
Kareem Reynolds there, Kareem there?
I don't remember the name. O'Neill, yeah, O'Neill Brown, the sweeper. Yeah, he was there. And Gomez, Daryl Gomez, yeah. And Paul, I can't pronounce his last name, yeah. He came over. And there was another kid that played center forward, a white guy, very, very skillful, very clinical. I don't remember his name as well, but very clinical.
Maybe Greg Patton, probably.
Probably, yeah. So needless to say, I would say, or safely say, that Courtney was actually the first Metro Lions player to commit to Metro Lions that played.
Oh, that's why he wanted a replica. He wanted a replica.
Yes, so I could safely say that because I was the one that brought him in to Metro Lions, and that team obviously, you know, meshed together with other players. I brought in Mike Master, who used to play for Toronto Italia.
Right, yes.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, they meshed together and they actually did well.
Fernando Tantalo was there too.
Yep. They actually did well for themselves for the first year, actually. Right. And I remember the first game they played was up in Oshawa, when they played against Oshawa in 2002. They lost that game 2-1 at that particular time. But as I said, they held their own and they did well for themselves throughout the season.
So what caused you, because I was there from, I would say about the fifth game or so, you on there, what transpired? I know at the top, there seemed like there was a lot of things going on. Anthony wasn't around anymore. I was there, I met him, nice gentleman and stuff, but it seemed like something transpired with him and the ownership, right?
In regards to what transpired, I don't know exactly what transpired. However, just based on what I've seen happen, I know that something happened, right? That obviously, didn't sit well with Anthony, right? I know that they brought in a gentleman by the name of Francois, right? He came aboard, and I don't know in what capacity he came in, right? But I know that Anthony wasn't pleased or upset about something, right? I'm not going to speculate or because I don't really know, but he wasn't happy about something. The fact that he was the one that brought me there, excuse me, initially, he is a very, very, very good friend of mine till this day, right? I know that there was something that was wrong, and the fact that he pretty much deviated from the club itself, right? I decided that I'm going to stand beside my friend, and that was when I slowly depart from Metro Lions as well.
Well,
So
maybe I did, because I remember meeting Anthony, and Anthony is a very impressive person. Like I met him, I think they had a kind of gym or indoor facility behind the office or something like that. It had
they
some,
had,
yeah.
yes. So it wasn't really a facility. It's in the clubhouse that we had. We sort of put down a soccer artificial turf just to show people that this is a soccer facility that
Oh,
was there. Yeah. So, we feel at home, so to speak, when the players come around and we're back there. It sort of look like a soccer field.
so before I know where my information come in as the person that end up running the organization from that same very year, seeing that you can't clarify what happened there, and I can't either. But what I knew is that Francois Glassman, really, that name came around. I know there was some discussion at the league level, right? I don't know why they could not get, why came in, because they could not get North York and they had to use Birchmount. And they asked me to be the liaison person because I already had a relationship with Scarborough Soccer Association. That's how I got involved with Metroland.
I don't know exactly why, to be quite honest with you. I know that when Francois came in, based on what Anthony said, that the league asked to be careful, right? In what capacity? I don't know in what capacity. I know that they say that he had a lot of contact in France, right? And I don't know, once again, if that had anything to do with it, sort of taking over, what was initially was supposed to be done with Lille in France, right? If there was something else on the drawing board or behind the scene when Francois came in, right? But obviously there wasn't something that was,
And I'm so glad and grateful for getting this information from you, because now doing the history of the community, I could more or less stretch the dots to connect based on Francois stayed around. Francois was one who helped with the Portmore United international game at Birchmount Stadium. And so I knew for sure that what you mentioned with Francois there, he had the air of the owner. There's no two ways about it. They were close.
okay.
So I suspect, because you can't say it and I can't, I suspect that's where it went wrong. But I just was grateful to get that information from you, right? Although we don't have the last two dots, but
Right.
I think it's simple to say that Francois, with the ties he has, because some of the interviews that I already did mentioned that Francois was one of the contacts to get to France and all these things, right? Even Julian de Guzman. So it's safe to say, we're not speculating here, it's safe to say that Francois has ties in France and stuff. And whatever he told the owner and stuff, it looked maybe more lucrative or thing to him.
Probably it looks that way.
And
Yeah.
that's how business goes.
Right.
Right?
Probably. Yeah. You can. It's safe to say that we can speculate that.
Yes,
Right. At the end.
and leaving to I end up encountering the same thing. It wasn't with France, but it was with Germany and other European place where the displacement goes kind of strange in that they don't talk to you straight up. But it didn't bother me the way it bothered Ayo because I left on my own volition. I
Right.
signed my resignation letter and stuff. So it was important to get that. The only little thing, and I'm glad I get that and you're close to him, because there was a perception that I stabbed him in the back because they made me the president. No,
Okay.
if I remember correctly, Ayo was the president of Metrolands.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Was there any other president before I got presidency, as far as you might know?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
All right. So maybe that's why he
so.
thought maybe I was used or whatever. So I'm glad that you get this Metrolands thing. So you won't play in then. I mean, we didn't have this star player now to help out Metrolands. What happened? You were injured around that time or what?
I wasn't playing at that particular time. I sort of going through minor injuries, and the fact that Anthony wanted me to be a part of, building the Metro Lions. I just thought that even if I wasn't injured, I don't think I would want to play. I just wanted to be a part of the building of that, that franchise, because there aren't a lot of franchises in Toronto at that particular time or anywhere around that started by, an African American, not that I know of anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So
and now that you said that, let me ask you, in even hindsight, even now, how you felt about it, because looking at the news and the newspaper at that time, it looked like it was something big. Anthony looked like he had really big ideas and stuff. It looked like it was the real pro thing and stuff. And you said yes, we did well the first year. We reached the semi-final and stuff. How you feel about that, wrapping it up now? Any to look back? How you felt about that? You must. It was
good. It was good to see that we started something good. It's disappointing to see the direction it went in, because obviously it had good potential, because we could use that that team to develop a lot of our youth, especially in the community and things like that. So going forward, yes, it's bittersweet. It was nice to see it started up and all the things we have accomplished. It was
sold a couple of times to Oakville and Brampton.
Yes, I was aware. I don't know in what capacity, right? But I know that they have changed ownership a couple of times.
How you felt and seeing it flowing, seeing that you were one of the original people?
The most disappointing part of that, really, to me, was the teams that carry on the Lion name, right? The Lion part of the name, because I know that Anthony was passionate about that, right? And to see it goes into somebody else's hand and not his hand, which was the original, starter of that club. That part of it was kind of disappointing and hurtful, right? But looking back, knowing that I was a part of something that was very, very progressive and big, I mean, yeah, that's gratifying. That's very, very nice, looking back to see. And that's the reason why I kept my tracksuit, in my closet, because, I was proud. I am still proud, of organization when it first started up.
How
Right.
would you compare the game just after you kind of start to fizzle and the fact that where it's at now?
So in regards to comparison, I personally think that the early days it was more competitive than now. That's my opinion, right? Even though the players are more talented right now, even though they have the platform to do more, they have the platform to go to the States and get developed, all of these things. But in back in the days, the competition I think was more intense, because everybody was competing, right? It's very, very strange now that these younger players have all of this luxury and all of these things and don't take advantage of it, right? However, you do have some that takes advantage of it. You do have some that use that as a means of trying to go further, like, get a scholarship or to go professional, right? To go to Europe, things like that. However, right, it takes a lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of things to go to Europe. So, which means that every single person cannot end up in Europe, right? You have to go somewhere else. You have to accept certain other things, right? So they have to get that mindset to say that, well, I can't go to Europe, so why don't I just, develop myself here playing local soccer, right? So the mentality has to change based on the opportunity that they get, right? They have to know that maybe I should go through the States, get an education, right? And then obviously get an opportunity to be drafted by a local team, right? In the MLS. And then from there, use that as a platform to go to Europe, right? But not because everybody sees some people here jump from here to Europe, it doesn't mean it's going to happen for you, right?
No, that's true. But for those that it happened to, we welcome the fact now that we're seeing some in the Canada program.
That's right.
And it seemed to be more fruitful when it comes to minority or visibility. We haven't seen, we on this side of the aisle seem to always want to be politically correct, but now we can say it out. There's a lot of Black players on the Canadian team, right?
That's right.
What do you think about the Canada program, and what do you think about the chances and the fact that it's where it's at right now?
I love where it is right now, because the reason why I love that is because this is where the Canadian program should be like 10 years ago, right? Now, as you mentioned, you see a lot of, different ethnic groups, a part of the system, right? Before, they used to have one core of guys, and that's what they look at each and every game. Now they're looking a lot broader, a lot wider, right? Which makes a lot more sense. You have the younger players coming up now. It doesn't matter what color they are, they're contributing, they're hungry, and because of that hunger and that competition, right, it makes the program more intriguing to get to, right? So I'm happy that they're doing great, and we're all behind them. We want them to do well, right? But they still have a long way to go, right? They still do have a long way to go, because if you notice, it's just lately they're making noise, so to speak, right? They should be making noise a long time, right? And you have to also remember that the division that they're in, right? That's just one division. They have to start making noise at the World Cup level, right? So that the whole world will recognize them, not just in CONCACAF, right? So yes, they still do have a long way to go, right? And obviously, we want them to do well, and we're behind them.
Okay, so what you up to now? What you have been doing? I mean, I know we're watching the Canadian team and stuff. You have any kids? A lot of guys been surprising me with kids, grandkids, or whatever. What's in the realm of the EJ? I mean, you have anybody in the game? Are you coaching? Are you still any part of the game?
I'm not a part. I used to do some refereeing, And obviously because of COVID, I sort of stopped, and I'm more relaxing now. However, from the time I left university, I, wherever or whenever I can, I would go take a look at some players and see if they are at the level where they can, go down to my university and be a part of that program. So yes, I still go around and take a look at players, regardless, if it's soccer, if it's basketball, it doesn't really matter. Females, you know, males, but I do get calls from people to come and take a look at my child to see if, or they send me videos and things like that to see if they are good enough to go down to the States. So I'm happy to do that. Pretty much I try to go down every year for what we call homecoming. And I always try to at least bring one person with me, right, for them to go down and try out. So yes, I'm still a part of the game. I still enjoy the game, and still try to do whatever I can to get some of these players, right, in our community the opportunity, to at least get a scholarship, to get an education, things of that matter. So yes, I still have my thumb somewhere inside of the soccer fraternity, so to speak.
Well, I want to see the ink on that thumb, because this thumb that you have on the scale here, we don't know if it's the left thumb, the right thumb. Is there an official title to what you're doing? Is that an official thing for the school? Is it something official? Because homecoming is fine, but it seemed like the type of legacy you left behind based on your ability in that school, it seemed like they trust your judgment in terms of assessing talent. Do you have an official capacity?
I don't have an official capacity. I don't have a title. I'm in contact with the coaches, the coaching staffs, and they just ask me, just keep an eye out if it so happens you see someone that can fit into our program. And it's not just soccer talent wise. You're talking about, mentality. You have to have that. I know a lot of guys, they can play, but they don't have the attitude, right? They don't want to do the schoolwork. So it has to be a complete thing, right? So I have to look out for someone who, will fit in to their program, right? And no, it's not a title, but I'm very, very happy to, look at players and to try and help players out, regardless of whether it's a male or female.
Okay, then hearing from some people, apparently they're saying that you help a lot of guys, and because you're a guy not wanting to mention these things, I still have to pull something out of you. So who are these guys that they keep saying that you help a lot of guys? Is there any name you can reference?
Well, yeah, couple of the guys that comes to mind, I have a player that plays for Magic. His name is Kiret Coombs, right? I did met up with him, and he went to AB, Alderson Brothers University as well. And he stayed there 4 years. He did quite well. Another player is, his name is Roger. They call him Parco. I don't know if you're familiar with that guy, but he's, yeah, he played in the GTA area. As a matter of fact, he played on the same team that Ryan played, the Italian team that Ryan used to play for. So he went to AB as well, and then we have a lot of other local players that didn't pretty much associate in the Black community, because for me, it's not just the Black players. I also recommend, other nationalities as well.
Okay, so what happened to this big name that you mentioned earlier on, or you're saving that or?
In regards to some play, you go out and you see different players. One player that actually I started his career, so to speak, was Kyle Lauren, that plays for the Canadian national men's team. So we lived in the same building in Brampton, and my son used to play rep. And when I take my son out for extra practice, one day I saw him and my son talking, and I said, "Do you want to come and play?" He said, "I can't play the game." I said, "I'll teach you." Right. So I taught him. He I told his mom name is Patricia. We call her Trish. So I said to her, "Sign him up in house league." So she said, Eric, no, I haven't got the time. I said, just sign him up and see how it goes. You never know, right? And she did. And he played 1 year. You could see the potential. You could see the potential. After that 1 year, she came back to me and she said, listen, what's next? Because this kid, every single day, he's watching soccer. He's talking about soccer. He just wants to play soccer. So what am I going to do next? So I said, sign him up in house league again and check off the rep box that you see there. You want him to try out for rep. She said, what is rep? So I told her. She didn't like it because she said it was too much traveling. But I said, do it anyway and see where it takes him. And he made it. He was coached by this guy, Tony, from the Brampton Youth Soccer Rep Program. And then he went and played, I can't remember which team he played afterwards with. I think it down at OSA, right? And then the rest is history, so to speak, right? So, these young players, I mean, if they put the work in and if they get the platform and all of these things, they can go far. So they can use him as an example.
So did you see this post-up thing on this the way he's tucking it away? He's equal the Canadian scoring record with Dwayne De Rosario and stuff. Did you see that in him, or you just saw the eagerness in him wanting?
I just saw that he had potential. That's as far as because I didn't know whether he was a forward, a midfield, or whatever, right? I just saw that he had potential, right? And I didn't see it at first because remember, I didn't know anything about him. I just invited him, to come to practice. But while he was doing it every day, while he was coming every day, you could see his touches getting better and all of these things were getting better. So I saw the potential in him. So, and just the fact that he was eager to learn.
How old was he at the time?
About 8 years old. Oh. Yeah. So him and my son is the same age. So, but my son was playing rep at the time, and he just started out. So
how is your son now? Did he stay with the game or was
no, he didn't. He didn't. He actually he did well for himself, but he even got scholarship to go to my school, but he didn't take it. And yeah, I don't think he was interested after a while, and he just pretty much paved his own path. He went away from the game, but I told him, as long as you stay out of trouble, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So
all
that's
right,
the bottom line.
Is the only son, or how many kids you got?
I have 3 boys.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
oh, mommy.
Well, I should say 3 men because the youngest is 25.
Yeah. Okay, well, mommy doesn't have that pressure anymore.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Surrounded with all guys. All right. So,
absolutely. In regards to, in regards to the game, I see it as a means of, if you're gonna play it, do it right. If you're gonna play the game, come to practice, right? Come to practice, play the game properly, all of these things, because the coaching staff, they have things to do as well, right? So a lot of these players, they just want to come to games and stuff like that. You can't do that. You have to practice, and these are some of the things that a lot of these kids don't really understand, that, right? Practice is even more important than the game, because whatever you do in practice, that's what you're going to do in the game.
Yeah.
Right. So, when they're deviating from practice, and that's the part of it that I don't like. So if I'm going to give you my time to coach a team, I need to see you at practice. Right. And that's the reason why a lot of times I don't really take on certain things, because of that reason.
Yeah, that's the only, because practice was really your time, the coach time, game is really their time. So they only want their time. They don't really want your time. Yeah. Do you see any? I know you said the East End, West End. Do you see any one of those, the guys still, the Fitzroy Crows, the Centipede, or any guys? I know you're the low key guys, but you still around?
Oh yes, I'm still around. I still see those guys, talk to them. guys from East, guys from West, especially the fact now that COVID is around, we don't see each other a lot because obviously we have to social distance. Um, but in the summertime when everything was going fine, there's a league up in Scarborough, up at Thompson Park, where we would see some of the guys. Sometimes I bump into you, Midget, up there, and we would have a chat and we would talk about soccer and things like that. Enjoy each other's company. But yes, we still bump into each other, and sometimes we have little tournaments where we come and we sit down and we just relax and enjoy it.
That's
Because
right.
we're at this stage right now that's what we have to do, is relax and enjoy it.
Yeah, I remember seeing you at Thompson Park. Now that you mentioned Thompson Park, for a certain age group, what do you think about that? It seems a lot of guys around your time, a little before the Fire Brace and some of these guys, they are at the Thompson Park. What you thought about that league, what it's bringing to the
I
table?
think it's a very, very good thing in two ways, right? When I see that league, I remember the Flemington League. If I know you remember that. That's where I met you, actually, in the Flemington League,
Stop,
where it bring.
stop, 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 stop. What you talking about meeting me at the Flemington League? What do you know about the Flemington?
playing against you at the Flemington League.
You
Yes.
say?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
what
I
team?
actually played 1 year in the Flemington League. So yes, that's where I played against you. So that's where I actually know off midget. Yes.
For what team did you play, EJ?
I played for Ebony, which is a team in the West End, associated with Peyton and Patrick, all of those guys in the West. So yeah, that was in the 1980s.
Okay.
League. So yes, to answer your question, I pretty much paralleled that league to the Thompson Park League. And it's not about the talent that's playing there. I think it shows the younger generation that we can all come together and play together. Right? That's the part that I like about it. The sons of the players that are playing, it shows them that they can go out and play together, have fun, display their skill level. So that is what I like about it.
Now that you just give me quick homework here to have to come up with answers now. As the DJ say, wheel a little bit now. This Flemington thing, how you look at the league, what was the level at that time? Because that was competitive. This is a 40 or whatever, right? And if you're talking Flemington and with your background now and all this thing, we never knew that you played on Flemington. What was the preparation for Flemington? How you look at the atmosphere?
It was a very.
How did you make out? Because if you play against major, that means you either play against spoilers or players.
Yeah, it was very competitive, as I said. So it's everybody looked forward to that league because it was so competitive. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. There was a lot of skill levels. The Luckies, the Lazars, all of these guys, right? All of those players that came out, that went through that league, made it whatever it was, which was very, very competitive. So yes, you have to, come with your A game, every single Sunday, right? And I'm sure that everybody that played in that league obviously have something positive to say about that league, right? Because it pretty much molded a lot of players into the player they are today, even though they don't play anymore, like us midget.
Yeah. How did you feel? I mean, I know you're a modest guy. And what did they tell you when you was going to this league at Flemington Park? What was this when they recruited?
When I played, as I said, that's the first team I played for when I came there. So when they say that they're going to play in the Flemington League, it didn't really, matter to me what league, because my mentality was, I'm gonna play and I'm gonna do damage, right? That's just my mentality. So right away, going to play for in the Flemington League, right? It didn't really affect me that much, right? Because I know how to compete from, once again, back home, playing at a high level at a young age, part of the Jamaica program, so that league was actually easy for me. No disrespect, to the league and the players in the league, but it was easy for me, right? Just competing against the players. However, I met up with a lot of good players, right, in that league. A lot of good players I played against, right? So, in regards to your question, they didn't warn me, so to speak, about the league and the players in the league. It was, we're gonna play in this league, and that was yeah, and that was the extent of it. So I just go there and did whatever I had to do, and did my little damage that I did, and that's about it. And strangely enough, when I played in that league, I was playing center forward. Yeah, that's something that's surprising to you, right? I was playing center forward, right? Every league that I played, league that I've played in Canada, I either played center forward or midfield, but I am a original sweeper. Yes, every league. So in Flemington League, I was a center forward.
So you understand where this guy ability lies in terms of why these guys from New York and everybody saw him in the stopper position and why they thought that he was good to go. So yeah, now I learned another thing. I'm learning a lot from you. So in wrapping this up, what do you think about what we're doing here, trying to put the history, the package of the history and everything together? Because again, I'm glad to get you, EJ, because you're such a low-key guy that it's nice to really get you, because I think you and Cam, you two guys, a lot of people wouldn't believe I would have gotten.
Yeah, so in regards to putting all of this together, as I mentioned earlier, I appreciate that, because obviously if this isn't out there, then obviously the upcoming youth won't know the past players, the past personnel, the people who build that platform for them to excel to that next level, right? So it's very, very good for them to know that, they can use this as an opportunity to do different things. Example, if it so happens one of them is interested in a scholarship, so to speak, they can call you up and say, Midge, that guy you interviewed, he went to school in this state. Ask him, how can I get the opportunity to go to this state? Things like that. So I'm sure that you interviewing so many different people, that gives them, a gateway to different avenues, right? And I'm sure that a lot of them, pretty much appreciate those avenues that they can take to obviously, the things that they dream of, things that they dream about, right? They can accomplish those things, right? So it's very, very good, and I commend you for doing this, and have been doing this, continue keeping up the good work. We're going to do something and help our kids out.
All right, EJ. So I want to thank you for giving me the time, the information, and letting everybody know, and surprising me also about this Flemington thing. That's a pleasant surprise. Now you give me some Flemington information too. So I want to thank you for everything, the time, and you keep safe, my brother.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. You take care. Keep up the good work. Bye-bye.
All right.